vote. With the early voting here in Virginia, everybody and their brother has time to go out and vote. I was going to, and then I just didn't get around to it, so I will show up to vote for the primary coming up tomorrow. I know where my local polling place is. Now I've double-checked my registration. I'm good to go. But why didn't I go vote earlier? Why didn't you go vote earlier? How many of you showed up to vote early? Silence, right? How many people do you know were sitting around talking about, oh, I can't wait to go out and vote in this primary election? How big is the motivation for people to go out and vote in this primary election? I'm going to be interested to see how many people actually show up to vote. Which brings me back to something I talk about all the time. And we have people that complain constantly on this program. I'm sorry, but I'm going to say a lot of conservatives are just belly achers. They complain all the time. We don't like this. We don't like that. They get upset about a lot of things. Great. I say do something about it. I say get off your couch and do something about it. I've said this before and over and over and over again. Dave, I think you probably heard this once or twice. I learned this when I pledged my college fraternity. We had a handbook, Sigma Pi. We had a handbook, and they said there's 4 types of bones that you have in a group. And I would say this really is the essence of the Republican Party. There's 4 kinds of bones. There's jawbones. There's people that just talk about it all the time, but they actually don't do anything. And then there's wishbones, and they wish someone else would get the work done. And then there's knucklebones, just knock everything down that anyone else tries to do. Jawbones just talk a good game, but don't do anything. Wishbones wish somebody else would get the job done and won't do anything. And then there's knucklebones that just knock everything else that anyone tries to do, which means nothing gets done. And then there's backbones that stand there, and they're the heart and soul, the cornerstone, and they're the people that make things happen. And you see this in your family. There's somebody who's going to be a negative Nelly. There's somebody who's going to kind of wish the dishes get done. I tease my wife all the time. She goes, oh, I got to go do dishes. I go, don't worry. If you don't do dishes, the little dish fairy will show up in the middle of the night and wash the dishes, and I'll wake up in the morning, and they'll all be clean. And she laughs. I'm being a wishbone when it comes to the dishes. She's being a backbone when it comes to the dishes. Then there's my son. I'll say when he was younger, like, hey, go do the dishes. Okay. But they don't get done. That's a jawbone. Backbone gets done. She's the backbone when it comes to doing the dishes. I bring that up for a reason. Tomorrow is the primary. Did you see anybody standing out in the street corner trying to rally support for somebody to run against Mark Warner? Did anyone get involved in any of the primary campaigns? I haven't seen one yard sign, one handmade yard sign, or anything. So we'll end up tomorrow with someone who will be named the Republican nominee to run against Mark Warner. That person probably won't have a lot of money, and I can pretty much promise you they're not going to have a lot of infrastructure. And I can also promise you that it's going to be really hard for that person to unseat Mark Warner. Why? Will they be a bad candidate? I don't know who we're picking yet on the Republican side, but I can't tell you that there's a lot of jawbones that will call talk radio stations and send me text messages about how much they dislike the job that Mark Warner does in the Senate. And there's a bunch of wishbones that I wish someone else would be there representing me. And then there's some knucklebones that just knock everything that everyone else does. And then I'm looking for some backbones. And that's why I talk about this on this radio show. We need more backbones. We need people that are going to get off the couch and stop just talking about it. We need people that are going to actually go out and do something instead of wishing someone else does something. And then we need less knucklebones that just knock everything else. Of the 3 people that are running, can you name any of them? Silence, right? That means we were all wishbones, knucklebones, and jawbones when it comes to the Republican Party. There's a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm actually reaching out to try to figure out where the Republican Party stands. in Virginia. But I don't want to hear from people that complain about Mark Warner and you don't like the job that he's doing. And then when it comes time to get behind someone to run against Mark Warner, I hear crickets and silence and complete apathy. Ask yourself a question. How often have you complained about Mark Warner? And what did you do to try to find a candidate to run against Mark Warner so you have different representation? We talk about this all the time. Here's a perfect example. We all hate the swamp. We hate the people that are up in the swamp. We hate Congress. We despise Congress. Congress has some of the lowest approval ratings of anywhere in the country. Yet, you have an opportunity to make changes when it comes to your senator. Did you do anything? Have you gotten involved? Will you get involved? Will you go knock doors and walk through neighborhoods? Will you stand out there with a yard sign, waving it on Broad? Will you stand in front of a mall or a grocery store, wave at your neighbors and say, vote for this person? Will you show up down at their headquarters and stuff envelopes and make phone calls? Will you offer to take people to vote on election day? Will you step up? It's not just money. Money can't buy me love. It helps, but you also have to have a groundswell of support from people that are willing to put their neck out there to say, I'm willing to step forward and volunteer to help this guy get elected, this woman get elected, because I don't like who we have in office right now. So I'd love to hear from Republicans this morning, and I'm calling you out. And that's okay if you get offended, but ask yourself, for those of you that are listening, I want to hear from you this morning. 833-804-1140. Two things. Number one, I would like to know. I know what the media tries to tell me. The big issues of the day. I would like to hear from you this morning. Two things. Number one, what's the biggest issue facing Virginians today? What is the thing that concerns you the most? Okay, we'll do a completely unscientific poll. I figured this out on my website. I tell people you can email me, Rich4America, rich4America.com. And then when I look to see where some of the emails are coming from, they ain't coming from Virginia. So that means there's a bot over there trying to feed me ideas that I'm not sure reflect Virginia. So on the text message line, I'll ask you this morning, conservative, moderate, liberal, progressive, right wing, left wing, I don't care. I just want to know, what is your number one issue? What is your single number one issue that you're most concerned about? Is it cost of living? Is it national defense? Is it the price of oil? Is it housing? Is it the minimum wage? Is it police? Is it the schools? I want to know right now from you, from this audience. Do me a favor. If you've never sent me a text message, this one's an easy one. 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140. What is the biggest single issue you are concerned about as we get ready for the primary coming up tomorrow? What's the single biggest issue for you when you go to the ballot box? Send me a text message, 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140. And by the way, if you want to claim being a backbone, I'd love to hear from you. Tell me you're a backbone. Tell me you're going to get out there for whatever candidate. If you're a Democrat and you support Mark Warner, are you going to go out there and help campaign for him? If you're a Republican, whoever the Republicans pick tomorrow, will you go and get behind that candidate? Because, again, we all want to complain about who we send to Congress, yet we keep sending the same people over and over again, and you don't do anything about it. I'd like to know from you this morning, 833-804-1140. It's simple. What is the single biggest issue for you in your life today? Not the world, not the country, but what you're worried about, what you think about at night, what concerns you. What is your number one issue right now in America? I want to hear from you. 833-804-1140. I'm going to guess it's going to be the price of gas, and it's going to be the economy.
1 minute.
I think it's going to be the price of gas, and I think it's going to be the economy, and then maybe Iran. Is it going to be transgender rights? Probably not. Is it going to be women and biological men and women's sports? Probably not. All this other stuff that we get concerned about is fine, but I want to know from you, what is your number one issue in America today? 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140 on the James River Air text line. All right, coming up on the program, I will talk about Sophie Cunningham and the double standard in sports media when it comes to Colin Kaepernick versus Sophie Cunningham, and which one is really the bravest, who's taken a stance against, well, culture. 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140 on the James River Air text line. Today's program brought to you in part by Pearson's